Hi, I'm Ed Weinberg with CTRE Media. You can find me on Facebook. You can find our Facebook group, CTRE Investors, also on Facebook. And I'm an associate broker at Keller Williams in Trumbull, Connecticut, and I am a real estate investor. Today, I'm here with Brian Johnson of Huntington Home Inspections, and we're going to talk about what to look for when you're looking at your house. So let me bring in Brian here. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Ed. How you doing?
Good. So, Brian, tell me a little bit about your company, and then we'll talk about exactly what it is you do.
Okay. Well, I am the manager and owner of Huntington Home Inspections. We've been in business since 2002. So this February, this month, actually, we just celebrated 17 years in business. We are a home inspection company performing inspections for buyers, sellers, investors like yourself, people who need to know the condition of a property. So what we do is we work with people who mostly are buyers, and we go throughout the home. We are checking out all of the conditions and all of the aspects of the home that are going to be the important ones. And we are a little nervous right now, so I apologize, but we're that's it. We've been, like I said, 17 years in business and providing inspections for buyers.
Okay, so you can be found on the internet at
HuntingtonHomeInspectionCT.com.
Okay, HuntingtonHomeInspectionCT.com, and it's home inspection because surprises are for birthdays.
That's right. Yep, exactly. Yeah, we don't want anybody to be surprised about the condition of their home, so we try and do the best job we possibly can, and really to give them the education they need to make an informed decision about the purchased property.
Okay. And if you're watching this on the replay, the only way I'm going to know you're here is if you click the like button or leave me a comment. So why don't we go over what it is that you do? Let's say you arrive at my house and I want you to, and you're going to inspect it. So where do we go first? What do we do?
All right. So the first thing that I always talk to my clients about is what kind of concerns they had with the property. So I always want to know how they feel about it ahead of time. That way I can get an idea of things that I'm going to have to specifically talk about and make sure that I know, things that they already know about the property. Sometimes people are very educated about the home. Sometimes there's been a lot of disclosures to the property. And so, we already know a lot about the property. But the first thing we're going to do is climb up on the roof. Every roof that's safe to walk on, every roof that can be walked on. This time of year with the snow, heavy snow cover, it's a little difficult. Such as today's inspections, that was a little difficult. I couldn't get up on the roof. But we go up on the roof first. We'll walk around the exterior of the property a couple of times. And then after that, we will move into the basement or the lowest level and check out all the mechanicals. So on a typical home, within the first hour and a half, I would say, maybe hour and 45 minutes, we are done with all the major systems of the home. So we already know in the first hour a good portion of any major components that may have problems with them.
Okay, so you just brought up something interesting. Every house sold in Connecticut, and there are other states that have similar laws, should have various disclosures which might indicate that there are certain issues in different places. So when you're talking to the buyer, I guess he talks to you about it, and that's the first place you go. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, the disclosure forms, they've just changed them. They've just changed them again, I believe, but I know
in August, I believe was the last time they changed them.
Yep. And that actually, they added a lot about foundations to that disclosure form because of, if you're aware of the failing foundation situation that's going on in the northeast corner, and now it's actually creeped up into Massachusetts. But there's a lot of failing foundations in Connecticut, so that was just added to the disclosures. And there's other things that were also added to the disclosures. But what it does is it's a legal document. It has to be filled out, truthfully, and hopefully the seller will do that. And that will give us a good idea of the property already without even stepping foot on the property. And we can already know if the seller has disclosed the age of the roof. We'll know what it should look like, because a roof that's in normal condition for its age should look its age, and it shouldn't have excessive wear to it. So we get a good idea by the disclosures.
Okay. And can you if there might be a problem with the foundation, do you have places to test that?
So the only way to test that failing foundation stuff is by core boring the foundation right now and having it analyzed by a structural engineer. There have been, I want to say it's almost 1,000 houses that have been identified in the state of Connecticut now that have that parasite problem that's going on. It's typically in Tolland County and I believe Hartford County. I may be wrong about that, but there's 2 counties where it's really prevalent and causing all kinds of problems for homeowners. But there is help on the way, apparently, from what I've read up on the state of Connecticut. Well, that was one of the reasons why I think they added our $10 fee to homeowners insurance, is to help out those people. There's help in progress right now by the state legislators to remediate this problem, and at least they've identified it. That's the first step.
Okay, so what are you gonna look at as far as the mechanicals go?
So when we're looking at the electrical system, that's one system that we both have inside the home and outside the home. So the electrical system, the service drop wires coming down the side of the house right to the meter box, and then we have service entrance cabling that'll go inside. We're looking at all the components, how it's attached to the home. We're looking at the condition. Is it weathered? And we are, looking at just, is it secured to the home? A lot of times I'll grab a piece of the home, it'll be loose. But the mechanics of the home start on the outside, and then we move into the basement. The basement is going to be an area where, again, all of the mechanics are. Usually your main electrical panel is down there. That's where your heating system is. That's where your hot water system is. But not only that, the most important thing is the foundation and the structure. While we're walking around doing an inspection, I carry a termite probe with me. It's basically a long steel bar, and I poke at the structure. We want to make sure that we don't have any termites or any kind of wood destroying insect for that matter. And also that we don't have any moisture damage to the structure. While we're looking at the structure, obviously we're making sure that it's properly supported. There's no sagging to the home and the structure, and looking for any cracks. There's usually cracks in a foundation. Most people will point cracks out to me and say, "Oh, I noticed this crack and that crack." But honestly, there's two types of cracks, 2 types of concrete in this world: that which has cracked and that which will crack. It's just the nature of the beast. You should expect some level of cracking to your foundation as long as it's normal. And they all crack in different ways. Concrete block cracks differently than poured concrete cracks. But the mechanicals will be the heating system also is down there. Again, we're looking at whether it's a boiler, whether it's a furnace, has it been installed properly? What's the physical condition of it? How does it appear just from the eye? You don't even have to be a home inspector. Is it all rusted out? Does it not sound proper? Is it, if it's a furnace and there's a fan motor associated, is it banging around? Is it making a lot of noise? Like at today's inspection, I actually thought somebody was walking around upstairs. Turned out to be the heating system. But The mechanicals, then after that, we can move on to the water heater. Tank water heaters generally have a life expectancy of about 10 years. That's about the cutoff. After that, you're kind of on borrowed time. A lot of them will last longer than that, but the manufacturer will never tell you that.
Okay, so when we move into the kitchen, what are we looking for in the kitchen?
In the kitchen. So, well, one of the biggest things, believe it or not, that may go unnoticed is, and especially in a multifamily home situation where there may be multiple tenants, multiple different tenants living in the building. And if there's a transaction by an owner, we take note of the appliances that are in the in each rental. And the reason for that is we take a picture of the data plate where the model and the serial number are. And that's because a lot of times, unfortunately, there's some unscrupulous people around here, but appliances will get changed out. A washer and dryer or a stove or something like that. It may be brand new. And sometimes people are trying to pull a fast one on people, and they may say, well, I'm going to take that stove out and put a lesser quality stove in. But that was not the stove or appliance that was shown with the house and agreed to at the time of the contracts. And so when we're doing the inspection, we take note of the appliances. That way, a potential buyer knows what was on the property at time of inspection. But also in the kitchen, we're going to be running all the water and making sure we don't have any leaks associated with water. And then just the general condition. We have, on the countertop, you should have GFI protected electrical outlets. So those will all be tested and checked to make sure they're operating properly. And if they're not, we will note that they should be installed. A lot of homes that may be older don't really need to have GFI protected outlets according to the code, and it's usually grandfathered. But we will make note of it in the report that, for your own good, it probably should be upgraded. And that way everybody is safe with electricity and water in a wet environment.
Okay, and we can go into the bathroom next.
Sure. So we're looking, again, a big spot where there's water and electricity usually. So again, GFIs, we run all the showers. A big one that I come across many, many, many times is shower doors that leak. I can't tell you how many shower doors leak. So hopefully there's a wand. A lot of showers have wands. So we'll take the wand and spray it around in the shower, make sure it hits all aspects of the doors to make sure that we don't have any leaks where there may be seals or where the door hits the wall. Because then water can leak out of the doors and obviously get onto the floor, get through cracked grout and into a subfloor and floor structure that may turn weak over time. May not be a problem next week, but a couple years down the road, you may start to notice that the floor starts to be a little soft when you walk on it. And that may be because of water penetration and small leaks that turn into big problems later on.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what it is that that you need to do in order to become an inspector. You're licensed by the state, is that right?
That's correct. Yep, I've been licensed now since mid 2000s. I started in 2002. I think I was licensed by 2004. And basically, to become a home inspector, you can go right to the state's website at ct.gov, and you can check out the requirements for yourself. But basically, in a nutshell, you have to first you have to find yourself a sponsor, somebody who you can intern underneath. You probably should find that out first before you start to make arrangements to go to school. Because if you cannot find yourself an intern, you may have wasted your money on going to school. But once you find somebody who's willing to take you on and take you under their wing, the schooling, I believe, is a 40-hour school. And the one that I went to back in 2002 was a week long, basically 8 hours every day for a week. And what they do is they just teach you what to look for. You have to have a pretty good knowledge of homes and how they work. ahead of time. They're not going to teach you how a house is built. They're not going to teach you how a house is plumbed or how a house is wired electrically. You have to have a pretty good working knowledge of homes, but they're going to teach you how to inspect, what to look for, signs that there may be a problem with a certain system, and just little tricks of the trade that, will come in very handy in identifying problems that may be hidden or latent and concealed. So you go to the school. Once you go to the school, you would sign up with the state and you would register under the supervisor. You have to do 10% direct supervision home inspections, and you have to do 90% indirect supervision inspections for a total of 100. After your 100th inspection, there are 2 tests. There's a state home inspection test, and there is a law exam that you have to pass. And after such time, you can become a licensed home inspector.
Okay. Let's see. So, and if anybody out there, if you've had your home inspected before, you're watching on the replay, just give us a like there so we know you were here. Type inspection, and then I'll know that you've had an inspection before. All right. Anything else you can think of that we haven't discussed that might be interesting to people?
Well, I think that when you're in the process of buying a home, it's very overwhelming. It's a very emotional process. A lot of times, people will get their information from a real estate agent that they're working with. Like, for instance, who to use for a home inspection, maybe a septic inspection, maybe a well inspection. The biggest thing I hear all the time is people concerned about how maybe I'm going to let the deal fly, or I'm going to, not find everything that I should find because all of my work comes from these agents. And I don't want to make that agent mad because they won't send me any more work. But I think the most important thing you should do is interview your inspector. You should ask him a lot of questions when you're in the process of buying a home. You want to make sure that you thoroughly interview your inspector. Ask him how long he's been doing it. Ask him if he's licensed. You want to ask him what kind of experience he has. And if you have any, specific requests, a lot of times people will ask me if they can bring family members. Oh, can I bring this one? Can I bring that one? And my answer is always absolutely 100%. Bring everybody you want to bring. I don't care how many people show up to the inspection. Just the other day in Ansonia, actually, in Derby, I think there might have been 10 family members at this inspection. We definitely broke a record. But you're welcome to bring anybody. You know why? Because I may actually learn something. A lot of times people will bring, oh, my cousin's an electrician. He wants to come by the inspection. Great. Bring him along. I may actually learn something, because I'll be the first to tell you I don't know everything. I know about a lot, but I don't know every last thing. And there may be one little issue that I may pick up on, or I may learn a different way to do things. And so I'm always happy when people bring their family members, friends, whoever, to the inspection.
Okay. Oh, and so there was something that you mentioned to me before, that people should try to schedule their inspection as early as possible.
Yes. So one of the things, and like we were talking about, when the deal, when there's a signed contract and people have the go ahead, their contingency date starts. Their contingencies, they have certain contingencies. A home inspection contingency, if it has a septic, they have that. A well, they have that contingency. Termite inspection, radon contingencies. They have to get all of this stuff done within, I think 7 to 10 days is the norm. And a lot of times people will be like, oh, okay, I'll call them in a couple of days, or maybe they're busy. We all get busy in life. But then they call me, and especially in maybe the spring market or the middle of summer, people will call me a couple days late from when they have a signed contract, and then expecting to get something done in the next 5 days or 7 days. And I'm always, very busy that time of year. The spring housing market's extremely busy. And so it's always best to, call as soon as you can, because you may want to call. Usually most real estate agents are going to give you 3 home inspectors. Most real estate agents will tell you, here's 3 home inspectors that I've worked with in the past. They are people that I would trust. These are the people you can call, and you should interview all 3 of them as soon as you possibly can. You don't want to wait any more days, and you want to get that process rolling, because if they are booked up and it is the middle of spring, you may have to wait till the 7th or the 10th day to actually book an inspection. Most good home inspectors that time of year are going to be booked out very far.
Okay. I guess that's about it. So the reason why we hire a home inspector is because surprises are for birthdays.
It's all about the education, Ed. My job, I tell everybody, my job is to educate you about the house so that you can make an informed decision. And that's all I do. I'm not one of these inspectors who likes to make big deals out of little things. But my job is to educate them so they can move forward in the process with the education they need.
Okay. All right. Then let me just wrap things up here. Let me see. We've been interviewing Brian Johnson of Huntington Home Inspectors. And who am I? I'm Ed Weinberg. I'm an associate broker at Keller Williams in Trumbull, Connecticut, and I'm a real estate investor. You can see this and other broadcasts at CTRE Media. That's on Facebook, or on this will end up on a YouTube on the channel CTRE Investors. And thanks everybody for watching, and thank you for joining us, Brian.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Have a great night.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.